Cool. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. I'm super excited to be here. I just need to start the time again, so I don't extend too much. Yeah, my current or my today's topic is months to minutes, and maybe you want first to know who I am, because MOBIKO is a startup. We are in the green mobility area, trying to transform the mobility to make people use more and sustainable mobility. And as for this, yeah, we built some pretty cool stuff, and I'm talking here and there about those things. And my colleague Leander said, hey, we will be on the ITCS. Do you want to make a talk about what you're usually doing? And I'm saying, yeah, cool. I can talk about continuous deployment and this kind of stuff. And then he said, yeah, well, it's not only continuous deployment, it's also about green IT. And I said, yeah, I can say one or two things about this. And yeah, when I then thought, okay, how can I put this additional scheme into my presentation? He said, yeah, you know what, but you only have 15 minutes. So I'm sorry when this is a little bit high level, but I'm eager to talk to you, to each and everybody of you, whenever the talk is finished. So let's get rolling. But before we go into the topic, I need to make a confession. I need to make a confession because we are deploying daily. And everybody who's worked in a corporate might say, yeah, okay, cool. But you are also a startup, right? Yeah, everything is super fast, everything is super fancy. You can just do whatever you want. It's Wild West. And in the beginning, it was like this. Yeah, so we started with our mobility platform. We were all super excited, super eager to do this. And we said, hey, you get a feature, and you get a feature, and and everybody gets features, right? So we deployed multiple times. Many people were working on this stuff. And very soon afterwards, something else happens. And yeah, we weren't really prepared for this because we came to this point. Yeah. So we had our software out. People were not satisfied anymore because we had plenty of bugs or things that we developed that we thought were cool, but the customer didn't find cool, right? So if it's not usable and so on, then you don't get the feedback, or you get the feedback when it's too late. And the thing is, with feedback is very... for different people perceive feedback in a different way, yeah. So depending on what role you have in the company, yeah, if you're a tester and you find some bug, it's super cool, yeah. You're happy, you're hyped. If you are a manager, then well, maybe not. And especially if you are a salesperson trying to make a presentation to the customer, and something is not working, then yeah, this might be a huge loss for you, right? So like if everybody is deploying all the time and you introduce bugs and you find out that this does not work, what do you want to do? Well, you extend your release times, right? And this is exactly what we did. We went to, okay, let's do 1 week releases. Let's do 2 week releases, sprints, right? Then we found out, okay, after each sprint of 2 weeks, we had 1 week of bug fixing. So let's make a monthly release, a quarterly, maybe even half-year releases, right? And at some point, you come to the point where you say, okay, maybe this is not the way you go, and you need to find something else because you are at this point, right? Like you finally make a release, and you don't even know how long you worked on this. So when we were at this point, and we said, okay, we cannot keep up, the competition is overruling us, bringing out new features and so on. I, as my person, went into like all of the project management things, all the software development processes that are out there, and investigated them. And usually, if you look out in the software landscape, what do you find? Well, it's agile and waterfall. And if you look a little bit deeper into it, you'll find out that this is what's happening in the real world, right? Like you have either waterfall, where you have one yearly release and then you need to clean up afterwards, or you are doing bad agile way, where you make multiple small releases, but you never have time to catch up with the tech debt or the feedback that you get, because you are already in the next sprint and you are just piling up things that you need to do, right? So what I wanted to do is maybe a little bit closer to real agile, but all of this, and this is what really bothers me, is basically time boxing our work, right? Like we were trying to say, okay, at this point we will make a release and then everything will be fine. But whenever we time box our releases and we say that the release will be on the 15th next month, basically also this happens, yeah? So everybody knows there's a release next month, 4 weeks, we have plenty of time, and then 1 or 2 days before we want to release, like people say, oh, Jesus, this is where we need to make the release, so we need to make over hours or whatever to make the release, fine. And I looked into this and I said, okay, this cannot be the way to go, right? Because if we look at DevOps methodology, Agile, Lean, all of them are basically saying, okay, we want to have a continuous cycle. We want to deploy things. We want to get feedback. We want to monitor how we are doing. And yeah, just knowing that what we are doing is right. And I wanted to go more into this. And to do this, I looked a little bit more into the Agile world. And the Agile world also has, I'm sorry, in the Lean world. And the Lean world has one very cool diagram that is called value stream mapping. And don't be intimidated. This will be the most scientific thing that we will have today. So what the value stream map says is basically we look at the full cycle, basically from the business input that we want to deliver a new feature, a new bug fix or whatever, and how long does it take in the different stages until we can get it finally out. And best case, we can then say, okay, we have a 3-day delay here in the beginning, in the planning, which is even business side, not even tech, then to optimize our 0.5 days between we have developed something and we push it out in the testing. Yeah, because this is already pretty good. So, and when we looked at this, we said, okay, the natural thing that we want to evolve over there is basically to get out things faster, to get feedback faster, to make sure that the things that we get out are working. And then basically, so who's brushing their teeth daily? Okay, everybody who didn't put their hand up, please don't come to my stand. Everybody else, it's natural, right? Why are we doing this? Because we don't want to stockpile dirt on our teeth. And the same is true for software development. We want to make sure that we get things out so that we don't stockpile, mess up that we don't want to have. And how can we do this? We can do this by automation. And we need to automate everything. Yeah? If you can automate the code review up to a degree, right? Fancy AI technology, everybody's in the hype, then do it. If you can automate your build, I mean, this is probably, CI/CD is probably pretty standard today, but also deploy feature branch environments so that you can test like single bug fixes, single features in where you basically say, okay, you have the production and your bug fix, your feature that you developed, and you can test it in isolation and so on. So we need to automate everything. And the other thing that we need to make sure, and this is really like a psychological thing for the developers, is we need to make sure that we can roll back at any given time. And this can be done via canary deployments. This can be done by blue-green deployments. This can be done by so many ways that we can say, okay, if we really mess up, we have a time frame at MOBIKO, for example, for 30 seconds. And after 30 seconds, we are back to our previous version. And this is really helping because nobody is afraid to push this red button and say, okay, now we make a release, right? So if you do all of this, then we can say, okay, yes, we can fix our stuff today. If we get it in the morning, it might be even delivered in the afternoon. But what about green IT, right? We're on the green IT stage. So I need to bring the green IT topic in there, and I think it's pretty cool. If we look at green IT, like what is included in green IT, we can say basically everything that consumes resources at some point. And this can be, of course, the energy that we are consuming, right? But this is also the resources of the software developers that are developing on something. This is the hardware that we need and the cloud infrastructure that we need. This is the pizza and the coffee that we need to feed the developers so that they produce code, because this is how it works, right? And all of this basically creates a footprint, a CO2 footprint, and we need to make sure that we are as efficient as possible with our resources so that the footprint is as small as possible. And how we can do this, or what continuous deployment and all the efforts that we are doing is influencing this, is that our automation has a large impact on all of this, yeah? So for example, we have a different Kubernetes cluster where our development environment is. And at night, it will just shut down. And this is only possible if we have everything automized, right? If we can migrate things and then shut it down in a way and this kind of things. We are doing right-sizing because we are just spawning the Docker containers that we need, and they can scale up and down. We have faster builds, which means less energy. And also our human resources are used much better. Yeah. So if we get a faster feedback cycle, there are studies that 50% of the code that is written is not even used, or it's written in a way that it's super inefficient. So if we can make sure that we waste less of our work, then of course we will use less developer resources or more efficient. Yeah, this means we need to feed less coffee and pizza. We will have less Teams calls, all of this stuff, and this will have a positive impact on the environment in the end. So, long story short, and oh well, I was